Hi, friends. This is Miss Francis. Welcome to my working space once again. This is lesson 3, and we are reading Bus 17. And today, yay, we finally finished the book to figure out what happens with Juan's life. So, before we go ahead and get started with today's pages, I want to review what we learned in the lesson 2. So we created a list of words based on our text, and there were pages 20 to 33. And the words were high school, wrong bus, disappointed, principal, Spanish, help in football or soccer. These are the words that stood out to us as we were reading the text, and these are the sentences we created with the words that stood out in our reading. First one, Juan is in high school. He took the wrong school bus. He feels disappointed because he is at the wrong school. The principal helped Juan. Juan speaks Spanish. Teachers helped Juan get to his high school. Juan likes football. And after these sentences, I asked a question for you to think beyond the text and predict, what do you think is going to happen? How is Juan going to feel once he gets to his high school? There's no wrong, there's no right or wrong answer. Simply, what do you predict? What do you think is going to happen? Here's my answer. I think Juan is going to feel nervous at his new school. I hope they will help him. And the reason I think he's going to feel nervous is because he was nervous on the bus. So I'm sure he's going to feel nervous at school. These are the sentences for lesson 1. These are the sentences for lesson 2. Today we are going to be creating more sentences. We're going to be making a list of words based on the rest of the book. We're going to start on page 34. And I want to remind you to think about these questions as you are reading, not just thinking about what the text is saying, but what am I thinking about the text? And feelings. How is the character feeling? How am I feeling as a reader as I'm reading the text? Again, we're going to make a list of words that stand out that can help us make sentences as we go along. But you can also finish reading and then write it. It will be up to you how you want to follow this strategy. So here we go. They walked into the high school. They, meaning Mr. Carr and Juan, because they were together. Juan recognized everything: the maze of holes, the crowds of kids. We're here, the men said, right on time. You can get your schedule. It will show you classes and room numbers. And here is the picture that goes along. Something that I want you to observe, and that's one of the questions, something that I noticed in the text is the picture. Look how blurry, not because I'm holding it incorrectly, but I wonder if the author purposefully made this picture look blurry because he's looking at all this crowd, and the text says it's a whole crowd of kids. So this crowd is going to create something in him as far as, is he going to feel comfortable in that place because of the crowd? So that will be my first word. So I'm going to say crowds of kids. And remember, it doesn't have to be a word, it can be a phrase that can help you make sentences. And a schedule. A schedule is something you have. If you're a high school student, your school will give you a schedule. What class are you going to go first, and then which one you go next, and which one you go last. A schedule is just things that go in order as you do them. It says a schedule is a plan for when things will happen. And that's what you do. You get something like that in school so you know what classes to go to, right? Juan looked around. How would he find his way? Uh-oh. I'll take you to your counselor, said Mr. Carr. She will give you your schedule. Juan sighed with relief. It was like the man had read his mind. And look at his face. I can really tell that he is so worried. I told you this crowd was going to make something, it could make him feel something. And here it is. I do think the text doesn't say, but I do think that he is worried. What do you think he is worried about? People not liking him, not fitting in, not knowing where to go, maybe? I think it's not knowing where to go. The building is new. He doesn't know his way around. That's why he was worried. And Mr. Carr, he knew that he was worried about that. So they're going to go see the counselor. The counselor is going to help him get his schedule. They walked into the counselor's office. Mr. Carr spoke to her for a moment. She printed out Juan's schedule and gave him a map. All set, said the man, smiling. Now I need to go. Perfect. This is just what Juan needed, a map. A map tells him where to go, what hallway he needs to go to for a certain class. So definitely a map is going to help him. But now we know that he got his schedule. What classes do you think he's going to take? Maybe ESL? Maybe English, math, science, biology? What kind of classes does he have for his schedule? I wonder. Wait, Juan said. He thought about the English words. Don't we go together? Aren't you the ELL aide or a teacher? The counselor laughed. Oh, Mr. Carr is the principal, she explained. The principal? Just like that serious woman at the middle school? Oh, Juan turned red. Not really like he turned red, but it's just an expression to say that he was embarrassed because he made a mistake. He thought that Mr. Carr was a teacher, but he's a principal. Sorry, he said, backing out of the office. Oh my goodness, now we know that Mr. Carr is a principal, and we all thought that he was a teacher. I'm glad he was very nice. Oh, there he is. So Mr. Carr followed him out. Wait, he said, I am new here too. My first day was in September. I know it's hard to be new. Let's walk to your first class. Juan smiled. Thank you, he made sure to say. I really think that Mr. Carr, the principal, is very compassionate. A compassionate person can see someone else having a struggle or having trouble, and you want to help because you experience the same thing. You have experienced that at school when your friends help you and translate things for you, or they can help you to show you where the office is. That's being compassionate, someone who feels compelled or who wants to help you because they know it is difficult for you. I'm going to write the word compassionate because Mr. Carr, compassionate. Mr. Carr sure gives me the feeling that he is a compassionate person. He's helping Juan. Not only he picked them up at the middle school and brought him to the high school, now he's going to help him to go to his first class. School will be fine after all, Juan thought. If he could talk to the principal, he could make new friends. And here is Juan with all his new high school friends. He's smiling, he's happy. And of course, that is the end. Oh, I'm glad this story has such a good ending. I would have been very sad if it had a sad ending, but that is a great ending for the story. I am going to write that he speaks English. And I think that's an asset that he brings with him from his country. He just came from another country, from Guatemala, and he's able to speak with the principal and with his friends. So I'm going to add it right here. Speaks English. And does he now have friends? Give me a thumbs up or no. What do you think? Yes. And he's happy, right? He has friends. And I can also add the word happy over here. If you don't want to write the word happy because it's such a tier 1 little word, you can say he's excited, he is thrilled. It will be up to you what you want to say. So we have the words crowds of kids, worried, map, schedule, compassionate, speaks English, friends, and happy. Out of these words, we're going to go ahead and make our sentences. And remember, these sentences don't have to be very long and complicated, as long as you can read it and it makes sense of what you are trying to convey or what you're trying to share with others. So crowds of kids. What do we want to say about crowds of kids? That the school had crowds of kids, or that the school, the crowds of kids were causing him to be worried. We can even put these two words together because there is a reason why the author had the blurry picture. I'm just taking that as a reader. I can say the crowds of kids made, because it already happened, I'm going to do a little arrow, it already happened, made Juan worried. The crowds of kids made Juan worried. And I'm going to cross out crowds. Another sentence you could have said is, the school had crowds of kids, or the hallways had crowds of kids. It's up to you. Another sentence you could have said to separate those two words, you can say Juan was worried about where to go in a school, something like that. I'm going to cross that out. How about map? Oh, I love that one because I think that is going to help him. But I can't start with the word map. I have to put the word map in a sentence. He has a map for what? What is a map for? To help me go from one place to another. For him, the map was so he can get to his classes. Remember, he got a schedule and he got his classes, so he needs to know how to get to his classes. So he has a map to help him find his classes. Class is only one, and I'm going to add ES to say that he has more than one. Remember, high school is more than one class, so we know that it's classes. I'm going to erase that. Oh, here it is. Schedule. He got a schedule. And there's not much I have to say about this schedule because the book doesn't tell me what classes he got. I just know that he received or he got a schedule of classes to follow. So that is a simple sentence, but it is a really good sentence for that word. Oh, this is one of my favorites. Compassionate. Who was compassionate in the story? There were quite a few people who were helping Juan. But I really think the one who showed the most compassion was Mr. Carr because he knew how Juan felt and he helped him feel better. So, Mr. Carr, Mr. Carr is a compassionate. Now I can't say teacher because he's not a compassionate teacher. What do I say? Mr. Carr is a compassionate person, a compassionate human, but I know his profession. He is a principal. Yes, that's one of the vocabulary words that we had on lesson 2, remember? So Mr. Carr is a compassionate principal. Principal. There you go. Respecting his career. All right. I'm marking that off. Oh, I love this one. And we can actually put these two together. We can say that he made friends because he speaks English, or because he speaks English, he can now make friends. What do you think? We can probably put them together. It'll be a long sentence, but they can go together. Juan can make friends because he what? Speaks, yeah? Speaks English. Period. All right. I'm sorry, it's a little low right here, but we'll read it out loud so you'll know what it says. Okay, let's review our sentences. Not that many because we didn't have a whole lot of pages this time, but here they are. You ready? My turn. The crowds of kids made Juan worried. Read it with me. The crowds of kids made Juan worried. My turn. He has a map to help him find his classes. With me? He has a map to help him find his classes. My turn. He got a schedule. Read it with me. He got a schedule. My turn. Mr. Carr is a compassionate principal. Read it with me. Mr. Carr is a compassionate principal. My turn. Juan can make friends because he speaks English. Read it with me. Juan can make friends because he speaks English. All right, so these are the sentences that we made for this time. I love the story. I think the story had a wonderful message. What we are going to do is for lesson 4, we are going to put all of these sentences together. Lesson 1, lesson 2, and lesson 3, and we are going to write a paragraph summarizing the whole story, and then perhaps we can add a last answer for this question. What did you take to heart? Or what lesson did I learn from the story? So start thinking about the answer for this question. Again, you can look at the red part. What did you take to heart? What life lesson did I learn from the story? There is a lesson we have here that we can learn from Juan. So for lesson 4, keep that in mind and join me as we put all of these sentences together and make one whole paragraph to summarize the text. What a wonderful story. And what I can do too, if you would like, I can scan the text so you can read it on your own, because it's always good to reread something that someone has already read to you. So let me know if that's something you would like me to do, okay? All right, have a great time. Enjoy me next time.